Hello. I think my camera battery might be dying, so if I have to switch this halfway through the video to filming on my iPhone from my dresser, I'm gonna have to fucking do that. But hi, welcome to the last episode of the year. I'm recording. I always forget this is a podcast. I think I've said this before, but the majority of my audience is on YouTube, so I really feel like these are more video content. Technically, this is a podcast, so anyway, I'm recording this on the 30th. I have kind of a big New Year's Eve tomorrow, so I just wanted to get one last episode out. I wanted to actually do something with my life. Now that I'm turning 27 next year, and that actually is really scaring me, so I'm gonna start really taking the pod seriously. This is my last chance at stardom, guys. So let's get it together. That's a joke, by the way. But I did want to make this last episode kind of, I guess, positive, reflective. I think I spent a lot of time on this podcast straight up. Whoa, some leggage is happening on camera right now. I just noticed. I'm not even going to edit that out. I don't care. Anyway, I wanted to be more positive today because I think overall this was kind of a good year for me and for not for the world. Maybe arts and culturally. So that's kind of what I want to focus on more. I did make some notes. I'm going to really loosely follow these. But yeah, this is my roundup. This is my 2024 roundup. I turned 26 years old. It was brat summer year. It was the year my grandfather passed away, which sucked. I think it gave me more of a, I don't know, not to be trying to make something out of a really shitty situation, but I do think it gave me a better perspective on my family and my relationships. So really shitty thing to have happen. Still makes me pretty sad. Not going to dwell on it on this podcast, but yeah, I think this was more of a year for me to, I guess, invest more in my relationships. So that was kind of the theme. I did also have some health issues this summer that kind of ended up boiling down to stress and anxiety. So, good that I'm not dying, but also bad that I was so stressed out. I think I've made some changes in that direction positively as well. So yeah, I guess let's get into it. Let's try to be more positive. So I already covered all the books I read in my last episode. If you have any interest in that, I will link it below. Also, if you're on Spotify or YouTube, just go to the podcast. Go to my channel. Go to the podcast page, whatever the fuck, and it's right there. It's the last episode. But my favorite books this year, just to have it in this episode for posterity's sake. I really liked the books Perfume and Pain by Anna Dorn, Just Kids by Patti Smith, The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway, The Idiot by Dostoevsky, and also Gaza, An Inquest into Its Martyrdom by Norman Finkelstein, which I did confirm his last name is pronounced Finkelstein. Yeah, those are my favorites. If you want to know why, go to that episode. I don't want to cover it here, but I think those were all good books, and if you're taking any literature away from this episode, take those 5 things. Anyway, music. I'm saving personal stuff for the end, by the way. If you care about that, you can wait to the end. If you don't care about that, which the majority don't, the roundup is happening right now. So anyway, I want to focus more on music in this episode, to be honest, because I feel like it was a really strong year for it, especially compared to last year. I remember I wrote an episode, Jesus Christ. I wrote an essay on my Substack last year about how I felt like music was really weak and I wasn't really connecting with very much of it. I am very much like a, I guess, left of center pop fan. I like electronic music. I like anything I can dance to. I like hip hop. I like indie. Not to be honest, people, it's I really just don't like country, but kind of that's, I do listen to a lot of different things. But I would say I'm primarily focused on pop and pop adjacent stuff. So this year was better for me. Last year, the only things I really liked were the Caroline Polachek album. That's really all I can remember. I liked the Troy album, okay. Yeah. it was just a weak year. I didn't have a lot of fun with it. Like, it was a year where I was listening to, like, Black Country New Road, which now I don't like or ever return to. So if that tells you anything about where I was at in terms of trying to find new releases I enjoyed. I was listening to a lot of Oasis and The Smiths. Yeah, anyway, really boring year for me musically. So this year was really surprising. Brat kind of came out of nowhere and really just, it had a grip on me, on the masses. And I think that this is a good thing. I know it's been sort of think pieced to death, and people are tired of talking about it. It's kind of cringe at this point. It's very like millennial on LinkedIn kind of corporate speak now to call things brat, which is understandable, but I personally think that the album will outlast the trends. I am not alone in this thought. A lot of music critics, not that I'm a music critic, although I have dabbled, think that Brat is good and will stand the test of time. And I think Charli specifically will stand the test of time as an artist. I have been a huge Charli fan for years. So it's not like Brat came out of nowhere. It's just like she announced at the end of last year that she was going to be releasing on like 360 Brat, like her private Instagram account. And I think I was prepared for something like Crash, her last record, which was very like mainstream pop. It didn't really hit the mainstream, but it was trying to appeal to mainstream pop audiences. So for Brat to be so much like in Charli's like historical wheelhouse, like the things that she was listening to when she was first coming up, like I think the only two albums of hers that I would compare it to are True Romance, her first record, and Pop 2, which is, I guess, her most experimental record. Debatable. I just think it's really great, and I think it's fun that an artist who had been kind of counted out by a lot of people and wasn't really a name that people were still watching in the pop space outside of people that liked her music and just were following her career. An artist like that have such a comeback into the mainstream space where people are like thinking that she's a new artist and they don't know how old she is. They don't know that she has had this career, even if they've heard like Boom Clap and I Love It and stuff. Like, they don't know because she's completely rebranded herself. And I think it's just awesome. I don't know. The story of it all, I think, is what captivates me the most, to be honest. I find it very romantic. I like that she still is using the attention to like promote other smaller artists and just call attention to her own references, which is, I don't know, people don't do that very often. I just feel like she's very grateful for what she has and like the people in her life, and it comes across on the record. And even though it obviously, I think has intentionally cultivated this reputation of like, you know, a I don't care about what you think about me record, which is fair enough. That is like, sure. It is also a record about loving the people in your life and like caring very deeply about what happens next. And I just find that sweet and I relate to it very deeply. And I think it's a great record. It's a good club record. It's a good listening at home record. It hits every checkbox for me. It's probably now my favorite in her catalog. And this is coming from someone who has a signed self-titled Charli record literally right here across the room. So that is saying something. Like, I've really connected with her work since I was 15 years old. And it's been a very good year for me. How about that? It really feels like I invested in something and I got my return. So that's been awesome. Speaking of that, a couple artists around that radar have really been enjoying. My favorite singles of the year were the Addison Rae Diet Pepsi Aquamarine singles. I think that they just sound really great. The production's great. I really like the story that she's telling as well. These sort of like art housey music videos. One directed by the guy who did The Sweet East, which I just watched recently and really enjoyed. I should include that in my movie roundup later in this episode. The guy who directed The Sweet East did the Diet Pepsi music video, and then the Aquamarine video sort of has like weird like Eyes Wide Shut vibes. I think it's really cool, and it's good to see a pop artist once again like openly referencing things. This is a trend for this year, actually. I once again also just wrote on my Substack about Timothée Chalamet. I was watching the Nardwuar interview that he did this week, I guess. Him just sort of being very unabashedly open about his references, which tend to be like hip-hop based and not necessarily in the film sphere, I just love. I think it's cool that he talks about these things and how they mean something to him, even if it doesn't feel immediately applicable. I think if you're an artist, you're going to find pieces and all the things that you love and engage with that are going to fall back in your work and how you approach the world. So you might as well talk about it and like reference it. I know that's like a very like postmodern, like tired idea at this point, but also people are really, I think, too ironic about the things that they like, and being very open about it and trying to do something with those pieces that you like is cool and good, and people aren't doing it in a way that is heartfelt enough, in my personal opinion. But that's something that Charli and Addison, I think, both do that I have appreciated. Anyway, yeah, Diet Pepsi and Aquamarine, sort of like Lana, Madonna, Britney vibes. Very much enjoy. I think she has a bright future ahead of her. So I wanted to include those. Also in the pop space, I do like Sabrina, I do like Chappell. Obviously they had very big years. The Sabrina record was kind of hit and miss for me. I don't really care for the sort of like Dolly Parton ripoff songs very much, but I do like, obviously Espresso, huge banger. Please, Please, Please grew on me. It's grown on me in like the past month, actually. It took a long time to grow on me, but now it has. I like Bedchem, Juno's okay. Like, there's some good songs on that record. I think, once again, it's well produced, and I like her voice, and I think she's a funny writer. But I don't think it's a very original record, which sort of is part of what confuses me about how well it was received critically. It's not doing anything different. It's just fun, and it's funny. So, like, I get liking it. It sounds great, and it's fun to listen to, but I think Sabrina has to do more to get on my personal heavy rotation radar outside of Espresso, which I personally did love, even though it sounds exactly like that one Doja Cat song. Chappell, on the other hand, I think is kind of the opposite for me, where I really like her vibe. I really like what she stands for. I think it's cool that she refers to herself as a drag queen, because that is what she is, and she should say it. I like that she references like John Waters and makes these crazy costumes in a way that is somehow like referencing Gaga, but also is different from anything Gaga would do, because it's much more like low camp, whereas Lady Gaga was like high camp. Actually, I think I have that opposite. Lady Gaga was doing a high fashion thing. To be high camp, you have to be like doing something without thinking it's camp. Maybe neither of them are really camp. You know, camp's a really confusing concept, actually. I don't know where the fuck I was going with that. I think Chappell's cool, and I like that she does what she does. Actually, funnily enough, not to be like I was there first, but in 2022, Naked in Manhattan was my most listened to song on Spotify that year. I do love that song. I think it is such a banger. I think it is such an expression of joy. And I just love that song a lot. So she's been on my radar for a second. I will admit to you, I don't really like Femininomenon outside of the chorus, and I think Hot to Go is pretty insufferable at this point. But I like a lot of the other songs, and I really support everything that she does. So I'm going to overlook those two songs and hope for the best for the next era. Anyway, I like her. She's my age, I believe, and I just feel like we probably had very similar, once again, references. I know she really likes a lot of like 90s rock and stuff, and obviously Gaga and Grimes. Also watched the Nardwuar interview with her recently. Yeah, she's cool. So, fan of all these girls that are having a good year. But another meme from this year, Clairo Shade. I do not want to engage in any Clairo Shade because that actually was my second favorite record of the year. I loved Charm. I've also been listening to Clairo's personal playlists on Spotify recently. She has great taste. I totally recommend checking those out. I'll link some of those below because I think some of them might actually be private at this point. She also has an NTS radio gig that she does sometimes. NTS is like a online radio situation. I don't really use NTS that much, but I do check out the constantly updated NTS Clairo Spotify playlist, so I will link that as well. Yeah, I really like Clairo. I saw her live 2 years ago, I think. I just think seems very sweet. I've also been listening to her music for a long time. She's got great bangs. Love her. I think she's awesome. I really like that she has kind of this like 70s cool hippie-ish vibe without like leaning into that in like a cringe weird way. It seems very genuine. Like she just likes to listen to stuff that's very floaty and has horns in it, which is great because I also do. So I also really loved her contribution to the Margot Gurrian cover album that came out. Love Songs is the cover. That easily was my favorite cover of anything that I heard this year. I think it's lovely. So big fan of Clairo. Big fan of all the girls this year. I didn't really connect with any music from men, to be quite honest with you. Some new artists I've been enjoying, Fcukers, I think is just how you would say it, but it's spelled Fcukers. They do sort of like dance, rock, electronic. It's fun. It's like very in the indie sleaze revival kind of wing of things. They seem kind of annoying as people, but I'm gonna overlook that because I think the music is quite good. And I think we're gonna see a lot more. This is my music prediction. I think we're gonna really see the indie sleaze thing fully rear its head within music. Even though the trend is sort of dying, I think the music part of it is coming full swing next year. Also as a response to Brat, which obviously falls in that category as well. Yeah, I was enjoying their music. Snow Strippers, also kind of in that vein. Started listening to more Blade this year. Tail end, I got back into some like pop punk stuff that I was into as a kid. The Kendrick album was okay. Didn't really blow me away or anything. In terms of stuff that I was revisiting, not revisiting, it was more like getting into, even though they're older bands now. I was really listening to a lot of the Sundays and the Velvet Underground. I like both a lot. Very much connect to both of those things. If you like very cutesy sort of Smiths-esque guitar, but with, very like floaty, cute female vocals, totally recommend the Sundays. And the Velvet Underground, obviously. I don't really need to explain the Velvet Underground. They're very good. I have always really liked Lou Reed's voice, but I hadn't really ever tried to listen to an entire Velvet Underground record in full because there was somebody that I knew who really liked the self-titled, the Andy Warhol record, basically, with Nico, and he was very gross and annoying, so I just didn't want to listen to it for that reason. But now I'm in. That's a great record, as is Loaded. Also a great record. That's like front to back, can't go wrong. One of the best records I've ever heard in my life. So, yeah, that's been my year in music, personally. And I think you should listen to those things too, if you'd like to. I did go to a bunch of shows this year as well. I just made a small list of my favorites. Obviously, Sweat Tour, banger after banger. One of the best shows I've ever been to. I was losing my mind. The girls next to me were doing poppers. I don't know why. They're not that good. Do what you want to do. And I went with my cousins and we just had a really good time. And I love to see people have a good time. Honestly, that was a good crowd experience. Usually I don't have good crowd experiences, especially in a theater. What the fuck is a big theater called? An amphitheater setting. It wasn't even an amphitheater because it wasn't outside. Jesus Christ. It's called the Moda Center. I live in Portland. Look it up. But it was so fun. And I liked that they alternated and that it wasn't necessarily a, you know, shy girl then Troy then Charlie situation. I think it worked better with everybody kind of partying at once. It was fun. And I love Shy Girl, so it was good to see her as well. Outside of that, I also saw The Dare. That was just a really hype show. I was really excited to see The Dare because he's hot and also because his music's pretty good. I liked the record quite a bit. I didn't listen to it for as long. Like, it wasn't in rotation as long as I thought it would be. Some songs I still return to, but I think overall it sort of came, hit hard, and then went. But yeah, puts on a great show, and the crowd was also very into that, so enjoyed that big time. I also want to shout out, I saw Always with my friend Rachel. That was an outdoor show. It was just, I think, kind of the perfect venue for it. It was like downtown, and there were a lot of birds flying around, and it was just a really chill experience. And then I also saw Coco and Claire with my friend Danny, and we just really enjoyed that. It just felt like a very relaxed show. Like, they talked a lot in between sets, and we got up to the front at one point. Yeah, I really enjoyed that a lot. I thought that they were funny and the show was cute, so good memories. I saw Ethel Cain and other people. Sega Bodega. I know I saw a lot of shows this year. I'm blanking. Shows how well I remember things. But yeah, ELO, I saw ELO. All good shows. I didn't see a single bad show this year. I've only really been to one bad show in my life, and it was 100 Gex, which I went to last year or the year before, which was unfortunate because I was really into 100 Gex, and now I'm not. So that sucked. Mostly because of the crowd, but also because they had technical difficulties, and you could tell that they just didn't really care to be there, so shit happens. I don't know. But yeah, next year I'm going to Coachella, so I'm sure I will talk about that, maybe even cover it, vlog it. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going alone / with my mom. Long story. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. I'm excited to see The Dare again and Charlie. Two Hollis, I think, is playing, and Fuckers. Snow Strippers, I know, is playing. This is all off the top of my head. The Prodigy. Obviously, oh my god, Lady Gaga. That's like why I wanted to go. Missy Elliott. Yeah, it's gonna be really fun. I'm gonna have a good time. Moving on to movies. I didn't really make a list for this, but off the top of my head, stuff I saw in theaters. Obviously, Challengers was the best movie of the year. Just undebatable. Amazing movie. Gonna be a classic. So good. I've already watched it twice. I'm not even gonna give a full review of it. I just love it. I think it's got a great score. I think the cast is amazing. I think it's cool that a movie that doesn't really have any sex in it is like a very like deeply kinky, weird movie. Anything Luca does is usually a hit for me, except for Queer, which I did see at the end of this year, and I was like not 100% sold on, but I think that was more an issue with the source material than the direction or the stylistic choices made. So that's, you know, that is what it is. Other stuff from this year, honestly, I'm just gonna pull up my Letterboxd because why not? Also, follow me on Letterboxd. I just got done right before recording this watching Tokyo Godfathers. I wouldn't say that was like a favorite of the year, but it was quite unique. So if you like animation / anime, yeah, that was cute. It was about a stolen baby found in a dumpster getting taken care of by a band of homeless people. And I liked it. It was really funny and kind of sad and sweet. Oh my god, Anora. Actually, hold up. I think Anora might be my favorite of the year. I loved that movie. It is a really effective crime drama at the same time that it's like, it worked for me in this way. I know for a lot of people it didn't, but like an interior study of like one person's bad choice they made, I guess. But also it's a bad choice that was made in a very understandable way that I think I would have done. I think many people would have done at that like juncture in your life where you're not sure where your life is going. And obviously she was already doing like sex work and stuff, but it has a lot of really funny moments up until that point, and I was just really along for the ride with it. It was very engrossing. We're changing angles because my camera died, as I warned, Anyway, yeah, I thought that Anora was great. Had kind of a good understanding, I think, too, of how people talk nowadays. Kids, at least. Kids as in people, like, under 20 something. Loved it. Got to my car and cried after I watched it, so clearly it was great. I do think that might overtake Challengers for me, but that's, like, up for debate. I think they're good for very different reasons, which makes it kind of hard to rate, in my opinion. But yeah, I did really enjoy Anora. Somewhat controversially, apparently. I know there was like that thing that she said in an interview with, was it Pamela Anderson, I think? I could be wrong about that. About not having an intimacy coordinator on set. I have actually no opinions on that, personally. That's not for me to decide. Other stuff I watched this year, I thought The Substance was okay. I've already talked about it on this channel, so it's fine. It got worse for me on rewatch. Longlegs I didn't really care for. I thought the ending was sloppy. Maxine was bad. I don't even want to talk about that. That was bad. The First Omen I really liked. If you're looking for a good horror movie that is way better than the Sydney Sweeney Nun movie, go watch The First Omen. That is such like a funny, weird, like actually kind of good homage to Possession and I guess just the nun genre. I really liked The First Omen a lot. I thought that was super fun. Also this year, oh my god, I watched The Holdovers for the first time this week. Amazing. So good. Very cute. Definitely going to become like a Christmas rewatch. As I mentioned, The Sweet East is quite good. I liked, once again, that was another one that I think had a good grasp on what kids are doing these days, how they talk, how they think. Kind of a good like Americana movie as well, and just very like surreal and strange in a way that I think, not that they were trying to do the same things, but I saw the TV Glow also make some similar creative decisions and is somewhat of like, I guess, an Americana-ish movie, just focused on TV as opposed to, you know, the East Coast, I guess. I thought The Sweet East did those things well, comparatively. Because I didn't really like I Saw the TV Glow. I thought it was quite pretentious. And there are ways to make very, like, outre creative decisions in ways that are not pretentious and, like, don't feel like they're really trying to overly explain something to the audience. I feel like The Sweet East was more about vibing it, whereas I Saw the TV Glow was more about, like, this is what this is about, and I found that quite frustrating. Other things I watched for the first time this year that I really loved. Anti-porno, I liked a lot. That's kind of in the title, but it is about how women are sexualized, and that's, like, not good. Thought that was great. I watched Project X for the first time, and I thought it was really good. Once again, it's like a good snapshot of what kids were up to at that time, and I was in high school when that movie came out, so I feel like I just, once again, I related to it a lot. I thought it was really good. Sweat, that's like a, I think, Polish movie, about like a fitness influencer. She's very lonely, and she has a stalker, and she kind of like connects with her stalker in a very unexpected way. I thought that was quite honest. It was a very honest look at what being an influencer might do to a person without sort of glorifying what that looks like. A Woman is a Woman, Jean-Luc Godard. I had never watched that before. Loved that. Very silly. It's about like a girl who wants a baby so bad that she's like going back and forth between two guys, like, which one of you is gonna impregnate me? And they're like, I don't know, ask the other guy. And they just kind of go back and forth. It's very funny. What else? Come On was pretty good. Joaquin Phoenix, Mike Mills. I'm reading Miranda July's All Fours right now, also. Sort of getting two sides of a divorce there, which is fun, ? House of Tolerance I watched for the first time. Sorry, I'm like, my nose is running. House of Tolerance is about a brothel at the end of the 1800s, early 1900s, I think, in France. It has got, I wanted to say Adele Dazeem. I don't remember her last name. Adele something from Portrait of a Lady on Fire in it. She's quite a bit younger. But it seems, from what I read about the film after I watched it, quite historically accurate, which I thought was cool. Oh, Lilia Forever I watched for the first time. That was okay. It did kind of stick with me. I think about it a lot, mostly like aesthetically. The music choices are quite unique. It like uses a Rammstein song multiple times. It's just a crazy choice, I guess. Valley of the Dolls I also watched. Oh my god, I love that movie. I definitely want to go to like a midnight showing of Valley of the Dolls at some point. Very weird directorial choices being made there. You should watch it. Starlet I watched also. Another what's his name, Anora. Oh, I really wish I could remember things. Sean Baker. That one is about a girl who's kind of like scamming someone out of their money, but then they like really end up connecting. It's really sweet. I really liked that one, so recommending it. Saw Les Samurai in theaters. That's a great movie. Old 60s French movie. Oh, Anatomy of a Fall is great. That was a last year thing, but I thought that was awesome. Same with Mistress America. I watched those back to back, and I remember feeling like both of them sort of had like a almost like theater quality. Like the way they're written is sort of, they don't really feel like movies. That's kind of it. Apparently the first movie I watched for the year was She's the Man, which I then watched again the first time I went to my friend Danny's house. So I guess I watched She's the Man twice. So shout out She's the Man with Amanda Bynes. But yeah, that was my year in movies. I do still need to watch Nosferatu and Baby Girl and the Bob Dylan one. Planning on seeing all of those this week by hook or by crook. So I will let you know what I think next episode, I guess. And maybe we'll retroactively regret not putting those in this episode. You know what? We're going to take an intermission and we're going to talk about my personal favorite things that happened to me this year. If you've made it this far, I feel like I might as well treat you to my personal life. My favorite things, I took a trip to Ireland, which I have also covered on this podcast before. I had never really thought that I would make it out to Ireland, to be honest with you. I was like, I have other things on my list first, and those are already going to be really expensive trips. You know, Ireland, I may not make it to until I'm retired or whatever. But then it turned out my aunt and uncle and cousins were going, and I was like, can I just jump on? And they were happy to help me do that. So that just kind of all worked out, and I loved it. I thought Dublin was a really cool city. It was nice experiencing more of the countryside. That's not really something I've ever done in Europe before in like a real way. So yeah, it was a really nice trip, a nice break from work, nice to hang out with my family. So yeah, I loved Ireland. I loved, honestly, even flying there, like stopping in Iceland was cool. Ireland is awesome. Thumbs up from me. I went on a camping trip right before that as well. That was great. We went to just a coastal town, my friends and I, and we do this every year now. We've already booked the one for this next year. Sorry, I'm so snotty. But it was a good camping trip. I read the Julia Fox memoir while I was there. Good memory. It was quite cold, but I don't know, it's just nice being with friends in the woods and not having to worry about anything and not really checking your phone. Those were my good things. Really, mostly just trips. But I also, this is kind of an end of the year thing, but I'm starting to make a job change. Not to a different job, just within my job, I'm jumping to another department. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time, and I just didn't really feel, not to get corny, I didn't feel personally empowered to ask for that. But now that I have, I'm like, I don't know why I didn't do it earlier. And I'm just really excited for what the future holds for me on a personal and professional level. Yeah, I just feel more energized, I think, because of that, to do more creative work in my personal life. Like this podcast, which like, I'm really proud of the episodes I have put out for this podcast. Like, I don't think I'm just using dead air. I'm talking about stuff that I want to talk about. I like this podcast, but I haven't been very regular with it because I've been lazy and tired. Honestly, I haven't been lazy. I've been tired, and I have not really known how to fit it into my schedule, but I'm trying very actively to do that right now. I put out a podcast episode today, the book one, and I'm already recording this one. So I'm really trying. And I want to try more in the next year. I'm also happy with what I've put on my Substack, so go subscribe to that. I'm going to keep doing that. Love having a blog. I'm a blogger. Have always been a blogger. I'm a product of my Tumblr years, and I will not let that slip away from me. Also was very inspired by Kate Zambrino, Heroines, the book that I read this year, to keep blogging, because that book is a collection of blog entries that she made. So maybe one day, you guys. But yeah, so creatively, I feel like the best is yet to come. I've really kind of figured out, I think, what I want to use my voice on. And the things that matter to me this year have come into my own a little bit. And that is a good thing. And like I said, I focused, I think, on my relationships a lot more this year, my friendships. I've made a couple new good friends. Shout out Danny. Shout out Kennedy. Shout out Caitlin. I don't know how many of you listen to this, but like people that I've connected with this year that I enjoy having in my life. And I just think, yeah, the best is yet to come. So 2025 is very, it's welcome to me. Bring it in. Bring it in, bring it on. I had a category that I was going to do here called TV shows. And I realized that I didn't watch that much good TV this year. I rewatched Girls. I watched all of Sex and the City. I watched British Bake Off, I guess. I am going to finish the last episode of that sometime this week, I guess. But I've watched that every year since it's been on Netflix, so that's like not new. I watched Yellow Jackets, but I didn't really like it that much. I think it's kind of mid. TV's kind of lame right now, guys. Nothing very good has been on my radar. Oh, I watched all of Emily in Paris, I guess. But that's like, I don't know if that's good necessarily. It's just like a thing that I watched. That's the thing about me. If you're going to continue listening to this podcast, I love a really good movie. I'm kind of like, I am pretentious about my movies. I am not pretentious about my TV. I like a lot of bad TV. It brings me a lot of joy to watch shitty TV. Even more joy than like sometimes like I've watched all of The Sopranos, I've watched all of The Wire. I got like halfway through Mad Men. I really want to continue with it actually. Mad Men's quite good. I've watched the Prestige shows. I know what's good. I just also like to watch Gossip Girl and shit. So if you have any good shit shows, tell me, because I'll eat them right up. 2 shout-outs that are off the media path, but I wanted to talk about. Video games. I got really into Disco Elysium. I have not finished it, but I'm really enjoying it. I played it for multiple hours the other night, so I just wanted to talk about that. I think it's a really good game. I like any game that lets you make choices in conversation. I like to be read to. It has some very good voice acting in it. You're a cop trying to solve a murder. And I've already solved the murder, but now there's more stuff I have to figure out after that. And it's like really gritty and sad. But it's so good, and it has really funny bits in it, and some of the characters are just so interesting and goofy that I'm going to keep playing. And I might even play it again after that. And I also wanted to shout out makeup. One makeup thing, not to be a little consumer, but Glossier reformulated their little lip tinty things, their lip balms, and I love them. I love it so much. I actually got a Sephora gift card for Christmas, and I am gonna spend it all on different flavors / shades of the Glossier balm.coms because they're so good now that they've been reformulated. I literally can't get enough. I think they're the best lip product on the market. I do also want to get one of the, is it Laneige? Yes, the Laneige lip mask. I do want to try one of those. I've heard it's quite good. But the majority of that $40 is going to go toward GlossierBalm.coms. Anyway, those are my favorite things of the year. It feels like there should be more to cover. I listened to a couple podcasts. I currently on Patreon pay for Benchtopia, TrueAnon, Nymphet Alumni, and Rehash. Those are really the only podcasts I listen to with any regularity. I am a passing listener of Chapo Trap House because of my boyfriend. They're pretty good. Those are the only podcasts I listen to. And here I am, making a podcast. Who do I think I am? Those aren't even really good podcasts. Actually, that's a lie. I love them, and I think they're great, and I think they do good research, all of them. But, like, in terms of audio quality, you know, it goes back and forth sometimes on all of them. And they're definitely not, like, I don't think any of those are podcasts that are part of like a podcast network. Some people would find that quite like, gasp, like, where are you getting your news from? But I don't know. I vet my sources. I don't care. I know what's right and wrong, and you don't. So, yeah. Is that it? That's literally it for this year. I totally wrapped up the entire year just now. Wow, I feel like I should still talk more. What did I get for Christmas? I got some perfumes. I got Dias and Durga Black Magenta, which I love. I love pineapple and pink pepper, which it has both of. And I think Dias and Durga is quite expensive for what it is, but all their perfumes feel like they smell high quality. You know what I mean? So it's also my mom paid for it, so like who give a fuck? And I also got a little solid of the Diptyque Rose scent to keep in my purse. And I got a picture of me and my grandpa when I was a baby. I believe it's the first time that he met me. I got a couple nice sweaters, Madewell sweaters, books. I got a lot of books. I got Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, that Amanda Montell essay collection, some other stuff. Oh, the coin. I got that as well. Oh, I also got some Uggs, which I was actually really excited about. Controversially, I like Uggs. I think they're very comfy. So I'm going to end it on that. 2025, the year of me wearing Uggs and going to music festivals and having more fun at my job and being more creative and embracing who I am on the inside. So I hope you guys can say the same, or however you want it to look for you. And I guess I'll see you next time in 2025. That's crazy. Okay, bye.